I just lost an event today. We bid on an archery championship. We lost to Michigan State. I'm like, that may be the only time we lose to Michigan State.
Yeah.
She 50.
Hi, any place but where I'm sitting.
Hey, Dan. How are you? Have a seat up there.
How are you doing? Good.
Are we ready? Are you? Oh, all right. I'm going to call the Parks and Rec board meeting to order. It is 7:01 on October 20th. Clerk, could you please call roll?
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Bricker?
Here.
Ms. Cunningham?
Here.
Ms. Hibbinger?
Here.
Ms. German?
Here.
Ms. Lamar? Mr. Politis? Councilman Jones? Vice Chairwoman Davis? And Chairwoman Lash.
Here. Can I have a motion to excuse Mr. Pilates, Ms. Lamar, Councilman Jones, and Vice Chair Davis?
Motion to excuse.
Second.
I'll second.
Could you please call the roll?
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Bricker?
Yes.
Ms. Cunningham?
Yes.
Ms. Hibbinger?
Yes.
Ms. German?
Yes.
Chairwoman Lash.
Yes. Can I have a motion to approve the meeting notes from our last meeting on August 18th as recorded and transcribed? Did anybody have any questions about those? Had a chance to read them if you weren't here. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
Can you call the roll, please?
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Bricker?
Yes.
Ms. Cunningham?
Yes.
Ms. Hibbinger?
Yes.
Ms. German?
Abstain.
Chairwoman Lash.
Yes. Okay. We pass this?
So that did not pass.
Okay.
Okay, we put it on the next one.
Can I have a motion to approve the summary for the meeting that was held on September 15th? Did anybody have any questions about those notes? Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Bricker?
I'll abstain.
Ms. Cunningham?
Yes.
Ms. Hibbinger?
Yes.
Ms. German?
Abstain.
Chairwoman Lash.
Yes.
And that motion also failed.
Okay. For those of you that weren't at the last meeting, both of those will end up being back on the meeting the next time. What you are voting on is that you're approving the minutes or the motion summary as recorded and transcribed. So you don't have to have been here to approve it. If you want to get a copy other than what is sent to you in the packet to review it, if you want a copy of the recording, we can always get you that. So that's what you're voting on.
It's also online too.
Yeah, so we'll put them back on for the next meeting.
Okay. We'll move on to public comments. It doesn't look like we have any tonight. Okay.
Chairwoman, real quick, I'd just like to introduce Dan Negley. And for those of you who don't know, Dan Negley, who is here representing the interests of the bike trail plan and the biking community for tonight's meeting. And we probably won't have a whole lot of update on that, but glad to have you here and hope you can make it to continual meetings. And we'll update you on that later in the
Welcome,
meeting.
Dan. Then we will move on to the YMCA updates.
Good evening. Not much to update from the last meeting. We're pretty much still in the same area where we were before in transition of programs. So I'm not really going to read a lot of this. Just for your update, 3rd through 6th grade basketball registration is open. We are taking registration for that. K2 has closed, and their season will start here in the next week or so. Soccer is wrapped up. Flag football has about 3 weeks left. Adult fall softball Sunday is already ended. Thursday has another week of regular season and then another 2 weeks of tournament. The main thing that we want to point out is that our Halloween event is this weekend. We need as many volunteers as physically possible. Those of you that have not attended that before, I think it's a rite of passage for everyone that is involved with recreation to experience that at least once in their lifetime. So we would appreciate any help, any assistance we can get. We have needs from as far as food, monitoring the trunk or treat area, pumpkin patch, the marshmallows where we roast, the fire pit where we roast marshmallows, live music, inflatables. So it'll be quite an eventful day. We just need as many volunteers to help pull that off as possible.
What time do you start to set up for that?
More than likely around noon. The biggest need is around 6:30 or 7 when we start to move everything back into the three-season shelter and clean up a little bit. I think we have some fraternity guys from OVU who can actually attend and help us with that as well. But anytime during that day, the event starts at 4, ends at 7. So it's supposed to be a beautiful day, which is a good thing. So it will be very crowded. There's not been a year that I've attended this event that it has not been crowded. And with the good weather projected, it will be very crowded and a late Ohio State game, I think it is, or no Ohio State game. So
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So we'll have a full park. We'll also need help with parking too, because that gets really congested at some point.
Do you recommend that kids go in costume?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Any kid that wants to come in costume. At one time, there used to be a parade that came from downtown that ended there, but that's since been discontinued, but we still have kids that show up every year in costume, which is a nice little extra treat.
Do you need donations for candy and things like that?
No, I mean, we don't. People who are manning the trunk or treat areas are the ones that supply the candy for each individual group organization that they're representing. The only thing that we supply are the hot dogs, the chips, the cookies, and the drink. Any other questions that I can answer for you?
Volunteers, do folks just show up? Is there a sign up? Is it a?
No, we just ask people to show up, and you either look for myself or Roger Hannafin. That way we can add you to our volunteer list that you were there. And then he will divvy out assignments as far as what he needs people to do. I would say, for the most part, if we can make sure that we have all the food tables inside manned, that's going to be the biggest area of need. Because like I said, we can manage with the pumpkin patch and those sort of things, but people coming in one way and going out one way and food tables on both sides of the room gets a little hectic.
What's the age range? You said need Santa's helpers on December 10th. What's your age on that?
Oh, for Santa's helpers?
Yeah.
I know Roger has his teams that help out. It can be any age, basically making phone calls.
Right.
And playing either an elf, Santa, or Mrs. Claus on the phone, which is pretty fun. But I think it's at least 14, 15,
Okay. Sure.
Any other questions? Comments? All right, well, thank you, Jeremy. We'll see you Saturday.
All right.
Okay. Moving on to the update of the park activities.
Yeah, I want to touch base on a couple of these here that I put into your brochure here. But the thing I want to talk about most is, Oak Grove and Domtar, and we had talked to this board before about it, but pretty amazing volunteer day. I'd say we had approximately 200 employees from Domtar down there. They shut down for the day, came down, they had pizza. I mean, they had pizza from 3 different companies. It was pretty impressive, the amount of food and drink that they went through that day. But they did a lot of things down there. They painted that front fence from one end of the cemetery to the other on Sandusky Street. They straightened probably at least 6 sections of markers that they could do manually. Raked leaves, picked up sticks, chipped brush. It was pretty amazing. It's by far the biggest volunteer turnout that I've ever been a part of in my time here at the city. So really impressive. Like I said, I want to give another shout out, if you will, to Domtar and the things that they did for the city and Oak Grove Cemetery. With that being said, I have Make a Difference Day this Saturday. Ohio Wesleyan is sending me 40 students. I just got an email this evening that they want to send me an additional 25, so approximately 65 students coming down, and that's ran through our local Connections, which is a volunteer organized group here in the city. And this is something that they do every year with Make a Difference Day. So they'll be down at Oak Grove between 8 and 12 on Saturday. And I do know that that same group, Connections, is the group that's helping the YMCA with the Halloween event in the morning, helping set up some things. My staff will be down there as well in the morning. I think it's 9 o'clock, unloading the pumpkins when they arrive. So just a couple of volunteer things that are going on. Veterans Park, if you haven't been out there in the past week or two, get out there and check it out. We're actually starting to see some stuff go upward. The restroom concession stands, they're almost done with putting the sheeting on the roof. The other shelter is under roof, still needs shingles and that put on, but looks really neat. I was out there all afternoon going over stuff. We've got the play toy is probably about halfway up. Splash pad, the pipes all ran. If you want to see something that's pretty amazing, there is a lot of pipes going to that splash pad. We took some pictures today just so we'll know where those pipes are when they're covered with concrete. But man, so far so good. So they're progressing nicely. I know in here when I put this together, I said they were a couple weeks behind. They've caught up a few days with the nice weather, but they're still a little bit behind.
Stacy, is that supposed to still be, is it a May opening?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with them getting caught up, then we're still pretty much on track for that?
Yeah, we're still on track. I mean, it's kind of neat to see because there's different groups that are working together to accomplish this. It's various contractors, I should say, working together to accomplish this. And like I said, we had our every Tuesday meeting today, and they all seem to be playing nicely, if you will. So it's a good thing to see out there as well. Dog park, I put that picture in your paper, or in your packet, I should say. That's something that, my staff, along with the public works staff, was able to accomplish in-house. I'm pretty proud of that because I know I keep throwing it down you guys' throat a little bit, but I'm pretty proud of that we could do something like that with internal staff, and saving the city a lot of money when it came to that. Some of the things that we're going to be doing with that, in the back of the bone, that's where the rule signs will be in those corners. So it gets the rule signs away from the gates. If you look at that picture and you see where my guy's shadow is going down the center, the narrow areas to the left and the right are actually where the gates are. And where his shadow is where it divides into the small dogs and the large dogs. It's approximately 5 acres, 2.5, give or take a little bit. But my thought there was keeping people away from the main entrance so we could still have plenty of people entering and exiting and not congesting that area. Pretty cool. The fabric actually started going up today. What I mean by that is the fence fabric actually started going up today in the top rail. This is still not going to be open till the spring because I want to make sure we get a good turf out there before we open it up to the public. But this was the opportune time for my contractor to get in there and get the fence up. He actually wrapped up some projects, and before he went to his next one, he contacted us and wanted to get in there. So coming along pretty nice. Some of the other things on here, the fishing pier at Smith Park, we've got the pricing back on that now. We're going to be moving forward with that. I'm waiting on our building department to sign off on that. Hidden Valley, we're still waiting on that. Staff's coming up with some designs out there. That should be going sometime next month, I'm hoping. Those will be some upgrades with that I talked to you guys before about, with bringing some restrooms upstairs and stuff like that, reconfiguring some areas to make it flow a little bit better. Play toy equipment that you see on there, that's basically just slides and swing set stuff that, you know, with all these other projects, that would be something that you guys would see us getting done spring, late spring, early summer. With the other projects that we had going on, unfortunately, we're not getting to it till fall/winter this year. So staff's working on that. The greenhouse, another pretty cool thing that we're undertaking this year, that was something that was in the CIP. And that actually, we talked to a lady on that this morning. That's supposed to be coming the 2nd. That'll be put out to the 440 East William. We'll start, you know, all the pots that you see up on Pennsylvania Avenue, those are right now, we just keep those in an old office because it's an office that no one uses that has windows so it gets natural light. So these will be able to go in there. I think I had told you before, but we use the Mingo's Pools locker rooms for our greenhouses now. So we'll be able to we won't have to pot our stuff in there and worry about when we got to get it out. We'll actually have some place that we can do it. And we've done that since probably the early 90s. So it's finally time that we're able to progress a little bit with that. So just another neat thing that's going on in the Parks and Natural Resources Department. Street trees, not that you guys probably get a lot of questions about those, but if you do, that order was placed last week. We're looking at, I think it was around 300 trees that we'll be planting, probably 200 of those, and an outside contractor will be planting another 100. We're looking for those to be coming in here within the next couple weeks. I think that's pretty much it, in case you guys have any questions.
Where is the dog park located at?
It's out on Mill Run behind Myers and Coles. The Wetlands Park.
Stacy, I continue in these meetings actually to be amazed at how much your team is taking on. And just as a regular citizen of Delaware, I think people have no idea what goes into keeping all of our parks updated and all these things going on. So, of course, we all are talking about it. But then I wonder too, the City of Delaware's Facebook page, is there any way to start putting some of this stuff out there so people kind of start seeing how much we have going on? I don't know how the schedule is with that or how that's run, but.
Yeah, usually when we have something, you know, let's just talk about Domtar, I guess, for a second. We reach out to the Gazette, of course, local media, and then Lee Yoakum is our Director of Public Affairs. I hope I got that right. And we have him put some stuff on the social media. Maybe it doesn't happen as much as what it should, but, you know, a lot of times too, I guess I look at it as we're doing what we're supposed to do. And we get it done. But, you know, I do have an awesome staff. I tell Dan all the time. I tell, you know, Linda all the time. I mean, if it wasn't for my staff, and, you know, I even told Dan one time that I just like to bring them here so that you guys get to see them, you know, and put the faces with the guys that are actually out there doing the stuff. They're the ones that make me look good. So.
No, I agree. I'm sorry. I think, especially when I drive home and look at all of the area that you guys mow, now that I know what it is, I'm like, holy cow. and see when the pots were still in Pennsylvania, see guys out watering them when I come to work. And yeah, it's pretty incredible.
I was just going to say, that was going to be my staff update, was exactly what you said is what he does. He's been a little humble. What he does and what JP and his staff does is incredible. And what he's in the dog park was also a good cooperation with multiple departments, with utilities, and with the concrete guys at Public Works. And I can't say enough about Stacy, his crew, and what they get done in the city. It's just phenomenal for the money they had to do it with too. It's pretty impressive. Say the same thing about Jeremy and his guys. It's a good group over there to watch.
They got a little more money.
Yeah, they do. You know, they're highfalutin.
He just
but-
said no donations. We'll take donations in the parks.
We'll take those
I'm just
too.
throwing it out there.
I agree. I just, as the board here supporting you guys as well, if there's ways that we can help get that message out even more, I just think it's important because I personally can speak for myself, take for granted all the nice amenities we have and what's going on in the parks. And then when I sit and listen to your update, I'm like, and that's why we have them all. And same with you, Jeremy. I wasn't just picking your The why is wonderful as well.
Well, you know, and I just, with this board being relatively new, you know, it's, we get accustomed to, like Dan mentioned, you know, the amount of funding that we have, the amount of resources that we have that, you know, we still accomplish a lot, don't get me wrong. But project-wise, you'll see within the next year, I'm hoping that those projects will start slowing down a little bit, and then we'll be back to concentrating on what we do day in and day out, you know. But, I mean, we do a lot. I tell my staff that a lot. You guys hear me in here, just, I do brag about my staff. I got a great staff, and I'll say it again. So that's all I got on that.
Please pass on the appreciation from us as well and let them know that it
I will do
does not go unnoticed.
Yep.
Does anybody else have any questions for Stacy? Comments?
I actually had one question, just because I didn't notice until recently. Are there any plans to light the unlit field at Smith Park?
No.
I just know there was quite a few renovations to the surface over the last couple of years, but it wasn't lighted. I didn't know if there was any plans.
We put new lights on both of the fields 1 and 2. We had been, and still today, get that question about field 3. With the numbers that softball are showing right now through the YMCA and across Ohio. Jeremy and I go to OPRA together, so we do a lot of discussions with other groups, but you know, the numbers are declining. So right now, if you were asking me if I would back a third field vehicle, right now I would have to say no, just because of the numbers. Now, if the numbers were improved, yeah, it'd definitely be something that we would look into getting a funding source to do so.
Thank you.
I would say to that too, that if rentals pick up,
Mhm.
then that may be another avenue to look at. I mean, slow pitch itself is kind of dying out. I think a lot of people are a lot more busy nowadays, so the 10 weeks or 12 weeks of dedicating their time to a league is really difficult versus the tournament side, where I can go play on Saturday and play 4 games. So, you know, I know we're looking at that as far as maybe a program, still having a league, but offering a tournament series, you know, just because I think a lot of teams would rather play, you know, on 2 Saturdays a month versus 12 weeks on Thursday night. So we're trying to adapt it to what the situation is calling for now, but, you know, it's, the league play is really taking a hit right now.
And like he had mentioned with fall ball being Thursdays and Sundays, that's the same nights of the week that we have summer ball. It's 2 nights, Thursdays and Sundays, and actually Sunday starts at 4.
Yeah, Sundays are early, so that's not the issue. I just didn't know if, like, when we had all the rain this summer with the weekday leagues, if it would have been beneficial to have a third lit field or not.
Might have made a little bit of a difference, but that, I mean, the amount of rain was the biggest thing.
Yeah, not enough to compensate the cost, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe at 26 or 27 days of straight rain.
Straight.
So there's, lights are not going to help that.
Thank you both.
Yep.
Anything else? We will move on to staff comments.
The only one I have on that is, if you follow the Gazette, the city was awarded the Iron Man next year on 8/21 of 16. Pretty big event. If you need any more, I'll let Dan take over from there and give you a little bit more insight on that. But I want to make sure, because I know we had discussed that here at one meeting, so I didn't know who had seen that and who hadn't, so.
Half Ironman. Stacy's beginning his training next week for that.
Started yesterday.
Never mind. Yeah, that's very exciting event, and actually some of the hotels are already being sold out for that event. It'll be a lot of people in town for that, and a lot of activity, and I'm sure Dan, you've seen some excitement about it as well in your shop over there, and it'll be a big deal. Hope to see you all there running it, right, Josh?
Absolutely.
What was the date on that again?
August
21st.
21st next year. Swim is at Delaware State Park.
Anyone else?
Did you want to talk any more about the bike?
Bike lane, yeah. You've gotten an email, which I can't seem to find, but we had sent out an email prior to the meeting with the PDFs of the bike plan. And I understand it's very complicated, and there's a lot to look at there. I would appreciate any input you've got on that. We'll be meeting with the consultant again here in the next couple of weeks to try to put our additional input into the prioritization of those paths. And there's safety issues to address, there's gaps that to address, and there's network connections that need to be addressed on the larger scale. So it's looking at it from multiple perspectives. There's a lot of work there, a lot of money that would need to be spent to get even a quarter of those done. But we're looking to also see what grants and other financial resources we can get to bear on that. We're also getting together with OPAL, which is the Olentangy, Powell, and Liberty bike group, to make sure we have some connection to the south. They're connecting from Ohio State to High Banks, and hopefully eventually, they're hoping to anyway, and eventually hope to bring that up to here. We do have plans to connect from here out to Smith Park, and ultimately through Preservation Parks from Smith Park on up to Hills Miller or Buttermilk Gallant Preserve, along that side of that railroad track there. Again, there's several, I think 11 PDFs in here, and they're quite complicated. I understand that, and try to avoid that as much as we could. If any of you have some input, or if you'd like to get together in a separate meeting and kind of just go over this on the big screen, I'd be happy to do that with you. Dan, do you have any thoughts on it?
As I looked over those PDFs, I was surprised from what I understood. The green was the highest priority, and at the public comment meetings, I didn't get the feel that both William Street and Central Avenue looked like they had been prioritized by a lot of people, which surprised me. I thought the biggest priority would be to connect to the south, the piece that's missing, the connections that are happening down around Olentangy and down towards Bell Avenue area, and then out connecting some of the Hop Road pieces that exist and getting east-west connectors into town. So just would like to see where that came from. I didn't know what the status of the consulting group was. I thought they were to wrap up in July, so I didn't know if they were doing some work. Still in touch with you.
It's extended well beyond what we thought it would, and that's kind of a good thing because they've spent more time with it and looking at it closely. And we did have 180 responses to our online survey, so that was a lot to digest and look at. And I can send you those sheets and some interesting reading. But that's really what determined most of these higher prioritization, because there weren't a whole lot of people that came to the public comment. The physical one just tends to be more that happens online and through those surveys. And I know you had a map at your shop. We had one at the YMCA, and we had one out at the library, and we got a lot of dots on the map that were indicating priorities there. And that's what drove a lot of this. We do have, with our CIP, we have proposed in there a couple projects in 16 and 17 to make that east-west connections off of Houck Road 1 to go from the path in front of the Westfield Shopping Center there over to Lantern Chase, then over to Trotter's Landing, to kind of fill that gap so that, because there's a lot of folks there that want to come over to that section. And then also on Central to connect from, well, Acme Road, I guess, all the way over to, down to Pennock, using some of the existing sidewalk, which isn't ideal, but affordable. We can at least make a pedestrian connection all the way from Houck Road into town to save some of those. And, you know, you see people walking on both Central and William routinely, as well as biking, and we like to be able to provide a safer route for that. The costs on that are a little higher than we'd hope because there's several crossings, physical crossings of streams and stuff that are pretty expensive to do. But we're trying to see if we can't find some money, particularly for the 17 work. I think we have money from impact fees for the 16 work.
One other comment that might be related was with the construction that's going on Park Avenue right now.
Yes.
I know when the person from the League of American Bicyclists in Washington,
Yes.
D.C. was here for the bicycle-friendly community plan review, that he was recommending a new approach to marking lanes and streets and leaving out a designated yellow dotted line down the middle, so that it leaves more room at the side of the road, and maybe striking a bike lane on the sides there. I see a lot of people using Park Avenue with the university there, and people that use it for transportation, their main source of commuting, and thought, I don't know if that's going to get resurfaced when all the construction's done, but if the city can look at striking that in a way that might make that an east-west corridor, as opposed to, if it might save some money if all you have to do is strike versus building a lane along Central. Or
I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't know if you noticed the signage and the sheriff on Sandusky Street as well. And I'm not sure exactly what we'll be able to do on Park, but we do plan to pave that next year. We want to get all that water line and railroad work out of the way first, and then construction season next year with federal or state funding to try to go ahead and repave that road as well. And when we do that, we do want to look at doing some sort of complete streets or bikeway look at that, and whether it's Sharrows or whether it's an individual lane, we'll see. I spent some time recently in Madison and also in New York looking at some of the things they've done in those two cities. New York, I would not want to take a bike. Madison was very impressive. I don't know if you've been up there, but that's really a biking community, and I'd like to be able to do some of that sort of stuff. And that's actually the model for those signs that we put in between the Sharrows along Sandusky Street. It's not the bike shall share the lane. That they have the rights to do that, and I think that's important for an educational aspect, both for the bikers and for the cars as well.
Any more status comments? Okay, we'll move on to member comments. We'll start down here.
Oh, is that me?
Yeah.
My turn? Oh, haven't been here in so long. No, just apologize for my absence the past couple of months. Now that the school year is underway, hopefully I will be attending a little more regularly, but it's good to see everyone.
I was going to say something about the Ironman, which I think it's amazing that the city of Delaware has. Is there, I don't know, I want to say plans, but I know Ohio Wesleyan holds similar type of pretty large events, in the city. Is that anything that, and I don't know if it's the CGB, I don't know if it's, if they have the staff/manpower to continue to bring in those type of events, if there's anybody at OWU or in the city itself that looks at bringing in those type of events. But I think it's, as Delaware continues to grow and we have those facilities to showcase, I think it's definitely something that somebody should take a look at as far as, whether it's, NAIA or NCAA events or whatever it is that continue to bring us to the city. I think it's good awareness for the city.
And the university has been, to your last comment, the university has been working with the NCAA and the high school events to come in there. As far as the running events and athletic events, as like the Ironman, city manager is really into that, and he's the one that's brought Greenswell in and has done the half moon that we did, and he worked with the Ironman folks to bring that in as well as the rest of the staff did. And we hope to make that an annual event, not just one half Ironman, but an annual event. And that kind of stuff kind of feeds off of itself. So hopefully the word will get out there and it'll have success with the events, and they'll continue to happen, and we'll do our best.
That's a great thing.
Yeah, and just going back to what Jeremy had mentioned to you too, with the field improvements that we have made, we've got more and more teams reaching out to us, wanting to use our facilities and wanting to bring tournaments to town. I mean, last year, I don't know if Dan said in on that, I know Linda and I did. We had a group come in that wanted to hold like a 24-team tournament, and they couldn't get the team, so they ended up canceling. But we're trying to get that into our park system as well. So.
Right. Yeah, it's something a lot of people don't think about. A lot of people, especially residents, tend to think, it just ties up traffic and, it's kind of a nuisance. But to the local businesses, they're amazing because they fill the restaurants, they fill the shops. It's great for the community, and it's what allows the shops to continue to thrive and brings in new stuff for the residents to enjoy.
Absolutely.
Well, and I know that the police department annually has a bike school that's just Ohio, and I'm pretty sure that they are having the national bike school with all the officers. I think it's next year,
I believe it is.
Yeah.
and they're going to be using Wesleyan facilities as
That's
well.
great.
So that'll bring in more, but I know that they do that annually because they borrow cones and trucks and stuff from us to haul their ramps and stuff around. So that's another thing. Like you say, I've gone downtown and seen them on lunch break and eating lunch downtown. So.
Mhm.
And it is a holistic thing. I mean, it does require cooperation with CDB and Chamber of Commerce, and we are working with the university, have been working for years to try to site a hotel downtown as best we can, because you can imagine when this Ironman comes in, they're not going to be staying in Delaware, most of them will be staying outside. But we'll ultimately be able to have that kind of facility with some type of small conference facility, particularly for things like this bike school that they have coming to town. We've got facilities, but they're kind of discombobulated, and we want to try to improve that over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have any additional comments.
It's nice to finally get to this.
Yeah.
My fall winter schedule allows me to get over here by 7. Otherwise, we're up until later and starting to get out of the store. I also serve on the board of the Delaware County Friends of the Trails, which is the group that's helping to complete the Ohio to Erie Trail, which is the bike walking multi-purpose path from Cincinnati to Cleveland. And we just had our monthly board meeting last night over at a recently paved piece of trail in the northern part of the county over, if you're familiar with the little village of Condit on Route 3, if you're driving up towards Mount Vernon, if you take a right on Merritt State Trail, there's almost a 2-mile stretch of beautiful woods, old railroad line that was just paved last week, and will be another portion of that. There's still about 4 miles of property to be acquired south of there going towards Sunbury, and then a little stretch just south of Galena. And once that piece is done, then I foresee that a lot of communities will start tying their bike paths to connect to that, so that people can ride from Delaware and get over onto that trail and then go north or south, wherever they want to go. So it's exciting to see that coming along.
One thing I was going to say, kind of with the city and with OWU, the tennis coach and I are planning a thing called Kids on Campus, and it's run through the USTA. And what it is there's going to be an opportunity for kids all over, Delaware and anywhere, ranging from little kids all the way up to high school, come and do a free clinic. And they're going to have pizza. It's going to be on February the 13th. And they get a free tennis clinic, and then they get to watch the college kids play a match. So that's why I throw that out.
Thank you.
I'm just really impressed by all the work that goes on. Like, I'm really impressed with the maintenance, and I'm just happy to be here. So. No comments.
Comment? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn then?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, we are adjourned at 7:40. Thank you.
Thank you.